And what I'm kind of hearing you say is once you find the copy that works, maybe let's take that copy and let's turn that into some video content. You think that's a good strategy?
Yes. Yes. Yes, exactly. Well, we all think that we know our customers and clients, you know, we all think, oh, I know exactly how they talk. Or listen, until you see their particular way of how they interpret your business and your marketing, you have no idea what they want
Right.
or need or how they say it. You know, great example of this. I don't know. I've worked with so many, hundreds and hundreds of people in the online space. And I'll say I can literally say I've worked with hundreds of coaches, let's say. And oftentimes they will take their clients' words and they will interpret them in their own way. So if a client says, I want to lose this muffin top, and they're, you know, and they don't say that in their ads. What they say is, are you just dying to, you know, do you want to slim up or get rid of that? And it's like, no, you've got to say exactly how they say it, right? Which sometimes isn't how we say it as the business owner. And sometimes the way we say it is very sophisticated. Another great example, I've worked with a lot of spas and who run ads. And so they use words like hyperpigmentation, PIH, to describe some of the aging processes that their clients want to, you know, reverse. And what their clients are coming to them and saying is brown spots.
Right.
You know,
so do you think, I'm curious, do you think it's smart to do like keyword research like you might do for a Google ad or a YouTube? Do you think that's an effective way to start maybe?
Such a simple way to go about this is even look at reviews on Amazon. And so you could do keyword research, but honestly, the reviews on Amazon are so good. Keyword research is great as well, but the Amazon reviews will give you a little bit more context to how people say things and how they describe them, right? So going back to this spa example, you know, if my ad is saying address your pigmentation and I'm calling my pigmentation a liver spot or a sunspot, then that will mean nothing to me. But if you go to the Amazon reviews for products that are complementary to yours or your competitors' products, you will see exactly what people love, what people hate, and what you can start to address in the right language in your ads. So that whole concept was just to say, you know, as business owners, oftentimes we are so clueless about how people actually describe our business and how they would interpret our marketing. So you've got to get on the other side with them. You got to use the words that they use. And then you can turn that into amazing video content. You can turn that into all sorts of amazing content, newsletters and emails and, you know, all sorts of digital content that people will respond to. But you've got to first do that research. Such a good idea. The keyword research or Amazon research.
Yeah. I love that Amazon research because you can do that for free. You don't need any special fancy tools. Just go to Amazon, find that's brilliant. That's great stuff. So obviously it's important that we have a good header tag. We've got good copy. We've got a good solid image, maybe a good call to action, right?
Yep.
So assuming we've got that down, let's A/B testing, right? Like that's probably one of the most important things. I don't want to skip too far ahead, but how many tests should someone be running to see to start, right? How many tests do you think someone should run at first?
Well, okay. So we have people go through a very basic protocol. You can expand this. You can add as much complexity as you wish to this, but this works really well for us. So we have them test 3 different copy variations. We have them test 3 to 5 images. We have them test 3 to 5 headlines. And that will typically get you to a really good ad. And then from there, you start to take that ad to all the audiences that you want. Now, what I always say about audiences, because audiences, you know, you can test people who like Whole Foods versus people who like Thrive Market. You know, you might see a little bit of a different result between those two. I'm just throwing that out as an example. Okay. But with audiences, I always say, you know, I test them by the dozen, and I'm very pleased if 2 or 3 of them turn out to be something I want to play with. So most of my audience tests go into the garbage. You know, they don't work. They're not effective. Especially if I'm testing new audiences, you know, that I think will be a good match. But like I said, I test them by the dozen and most of them don't work out. And so when you go into A/B testing with that kind of that kind of mindset, like most of your ads won't work out. Most of your audiences won't work out. You're looking for the little gold. You're looking for little treasures that actually end up resulting in something for you. And so that's one way to test. Now there's lots of other methods that are, that can be more complicated, but I found that typically for 99.9% of you, that will get the job done.
And how long would you let a test run for?
Yeah.
Right. But how long before you know this is not going to work? Right.
Super simple. We always let it run to 1,000 in reach at a minimum, or a few conversions, whichever one you see first. Now, I add a big caveat there and say this is for a smaller budget, right? If I'm working with a smaller budget, and I do my testing that way, I'm going to spend $250 to $500 going through my testing protocol. But then I'll have an ad that I can then put at $10 a day, or I can put it $50 a day. I can put it $100 a day. It doesn't matter what. The budget would be, I'd put it at $1,000 a day if I wanted. Some of our clients have been $5,000 a day. So, if I'm working with a smaller budget, I'm going to at least those minimum of 1,000 in reach, or at least a few conversions, whichever is bigger, let's say. And then if I've got a bigger budget, maybe I'm working with a $20,000, $50,000 a month budget, I'm going to spend some more money on testing. Right. I might spend $1,000, $2,000 on testing, really let those tests run until, 10, 20,000 in reach. And then really see how it kind of plays out with a little more budget.
Yeah, really smart. I'm just curious, was there ever a time where you did an ad and it just hit? The first ad just blew up. You're like, magic.
Yeah.
Did that happen?
Yeah, for sure. I always have, definitely, for sure. It happens. Usually it'll be in the testing, have I ever just run one ad without an A/B test behind it? No.
Exactly. Yeah,
no, I've never done that. I've never, no, I've never done that because, I
think, but the reason I ask is I think a lot of people do that. They're like, all right, I'm going to I'm going to boost this post. Yeah. I'm going to throw up an ad and it doesn't work. I'm going to send a postcard instead. Right.
Yeah. Oh, totally. 100%. People spend a couple $100 on Facebook, and they spend it willy-nilly, and they have no idea what they're doing. And then they assume Facebook doesn't work for them. Yeah. That's so unfortunate, because they are literally letting their competitors figure out the platform and get ahead. It really just takes a couple hours to learn how to do it. And it is such a massive skill that you would give yourself if you would just let yourself go through a learning process. So yeah.
It's always evolving too, right?
Oh yeah, constantly. Oh, in fact, every 6 weeks, we think there's a major enough update to the algorithm that you need to stay on top of it. So every day there's updates, right? Probably hundreds, maybe even thousands of small updates every day. Some of them are just tests, and some of them are bigger updates. But every 6 weeks, we see a big enough change and Facebook will admit to this too. There's big enough change in the algorithm that you better learn what it is and how to use it to your advantage, or it will use you to its advantage. So,
right.
So there's your choice.
So it's a constant learning process. And I think that's a real good reason to be in some sort of a membership or community. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I do want to ask you a couple questions about that. But I'm also curious. So we're in the middle of the coronavirus outbreak. Yes. Obviously, the entire world economy is evolving and changing. Yeah. Have you adapted your messaging in your ads because of that?
Yes, 100%. So a few things we've noticed with that. Going all out with brand new messaging. Best practice is never, you don't want to use any pandemic or any global event. You don't want to, and it's not even being slimy about it. You actually kind of don't want to, you don't want to leverage that too much, Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of first best practice for any business, is just kind of, customary to not over leverage world events. The second big thing is we've noticed subtle tweaks are actually making the biggest difference. So if you really shift your messaging entirely, it's unlikely to help your ads that much. I'll give you an example from our client lab. One of our clients always had in a very non-essential industry. They teach a hobby, and they basically had a 3 to 4x return on their investment using simple messaging around vacationing, right? So obviously that's kind of Corona time. That is not very, very applicable, not very relevant. And so they just shifted that message and said, are you stuck at home? So they went from a 3 to 4x return on their ad spend. So in other words, they put $1 into Facebook and pulling $3 to $4 out on their back end. And they shifted that one thing to revolve around vacations to instead revolving around being stuck at home. And is it time to finally learn this new hobby? And they went from 3 to 4x to 7 to 8x return on their ad spend. One simple sentence is all that got shifted. So we're actually finding, and I know some people are experiencing, complete revamps of their messaging. For the most part, what I'm seeing is very, very small tweaks will get the job done. So it doesn't have to be crazy, but literally just a tiny bit of mention, that makes it relevant. And ideally it's not in a way that's overused, like uncertain times.
Right. We're in this together, uncertain.
Could you be a little bit more fun about it? I don't know. There's lots of ways to do it without kind of overusing those buzzwords that people are now just rolling their eyes about, uncertain times or
we'll go back to A/B testing
unprecedented.
Too, right? You probably break down a list of 5 or 6 or a dozen different headliners or one-liners to try to trigger that. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad you enjoyed this episode. I've got several other episodes right here for you. Smash one of these videos to make sure that you don't miss out on the tips, tools, and tactics of industry experts. Let's take that side hustle full time. Smash one of these links.